Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to call the Hood River White Salmon Bridge Authority regular meeting on November 24th to order. Let the record show we have Commissioners Fox, Babbitt, and Polson are present. We have alternate Thomas, Edwards, and is Nate online?
I don't think so.
Okay. Nate is absent. On the Washington side, we have Commissioners Anderson, Wilson, and is Doug online?
I am, and I'll be there in person in about 5 minutes.
All right. Thank you, Doug. And then we have alternates Berger and Flaming. Are they online?
Don't see them.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Are there any changes or modifications to the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to the approval of the regular board meeting minutes from October 27th, 2025.
I move that we approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Public comment. Public comment is open to 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone who would like to provide public comment? If you're in the room, I don't see anyone. So if you're online, please raise your hand, *6 to unmute yourself. I am not seeing anyone. Okay, we will move on to our executive reports. Co-chair, Mr. Fox.
Yeah, I would just like to mention, we're going to talk about it at great length later about the rod, but I just want to thank personally Christy Duncan of all of the work that she's put in on the precursor stuff, as well as getting the rod pushed through the various organizations. I think she's done a remarkable, amazing job, and I just want to acknowledge that to everybody. She's put in a lot of work to make this happen.
Here, here. And I would also mention all the rest of our team that helped to bring us to this point. I know Christy has really been shepherding it along, but it's taken thousands of hours by many people, and I just can't thank them all enough.
Yep. Agree.
Okay. Is Mike available for our project director update?
Yeah, I'm here, Jake.
There you are.
Just some high-level updates. We continue to coordinate with the tribes. I spoke to FHWA last week. Umatilla has been finalized as far as the division and Umatilla and the Bridge Authority. FHWA needs to check with one more organization at the DC level. If they don't need to provide any input, then that will be ready for signatures. So we could see that coming in early December for signature with the Umatilla MOA. The other three are still in coordination. The FHWA is also working on separating our CDS funding from our infogrant funding. So Tom said he's going to continue to work with ODOT on that. And work on separating that 8 million from the 200 million. As you said, the record of decision was the big thing this week that we've talked about. The geotech borings, the environmental staff is still working through the permitting on that. Now that everybody's back to work, they're working on trying to get those permits finalized so we can get the geotech in-water work started. It looks like it'll probably be early January. I think they're planning January 5th if we can get all the permits in place to be out and start that boring work. They'll start on the Oregon side and then move to the Washington side to get that done. Some areas that the Progressive Design Build team are focusing on is they're still working on some of the substructure optimizing, looking at steel casings, seeing if there's additional areas that they can reduce the steel casing for cost savings, as well as the girder optimization. We've also started the discussions around aesthetics, and we've got a small group that's working with Commissioner Wilson to start working on that aspect of the project. Drainage is continuing to look at their existing drainage and how they're going to be looking and tying into the existing drainage on both the Oregon and Washington side, as well as optimizing the stormwater ponds that will be constructed as part of the project. We continue to work on access roads on the Washington side to get access into the land in between the water and the railroad on the Washington side. That is a critical access component. There's a number of options being evaluated there to determine how best to access that property. Some of the ideas including going down the railroad right away with an access road, as well as even helicoptering in some of the geotech in order to do the geotech borings. So all options are on the table right now. We'll be evaluating that and determining what's the best, most cost-effective way to go in and get the work done in that area. Permitting continues. That's going to be a big effort over the next year and a half, is trying to get through the 40 some permits that we need to obtain on this project. So that is going to be critical path for a long portion of this project, is going to be focused around getting the permits complete. So I think generally that's the main points, Jake.
All right. Any questions for Mike?
Yeah, I've got a question. Mike, when does the deck design work start roughly?
What components of the deck design, Arthur?
Well, I'd say the non-motorized, but my understanding is that we're hoping to have some sort of flexibility with designs that allow, the non-motor part to be used for emergency access, allow partitions to be moved, et cetera, stuff like that. When does some smart engineers start looking at all of that? Not to say that you're not a smart engineer.
No, I'm not the one designing it or signing and sealing it, so fair enough. They are looking at that now. We're looking at a pretty consistent deck thickness across there, across the full width of the 56-foot deck. We're not looking at modifying the deck thicknesses in the bike ped versus the travel lane, so it'll be a uniform deck thickness. We are evaluating and working with the engineering committee on the slope of the roadway as far as the typical section, and sloping that all one direction to allow some future flexibility if it's needed in the future. As far as the lane widths, they've got typical sections on that. They're looking at an 8-foot walking path, and then they're looking at it's a 12-foot area with 2 5-foot bike lanes, one in each direction, with a 2-foot buffer between that and the barrier that would be in the median. So a lot of those things are following just kind of standard bike practices or federal bike regulations. Some of the elements of that, as far as the barrier types and screening on that, will be part of this aesthetics discussion, as far as the outside of the barrier and what that outside wall looks like, and some of the components of the overlooks that'll be constructed. But a lot of the base components are really already kind of designed on that.
Okay.
Hey, one other comment for everybody. Mike, why don't you tell them about I call it the river survey, usage survey to set the height, and what we found from the survey results and the impact on our bridge.
Yeah, so the navigational impact report, or you'll hear it maybe termed the NIR, is an survey that we have to do of all users on the system to verify the vertical height of the bridge. This was completed as part of the NEPA process back when the draft FEIS was started. It has a 5-year lifespan, so we came up against that 5 years as we were finalizing the record of decision and updating the documents this year. So we did an update of that document. So they resent out the survey to all the river users in the area. Really nothing surprising back from that. There was one One respondent that was higher than our 90 feet, it was found that that was something actually down in the Portland area that actually doesn't come up the river. Of the items that come up the river, we were able to verify that there's no real change from what was done before. So we'll finalize that report. I think they're in the process of finalizing that right now, and that will get resubmitted to the Coast Guard to verify our 90-foot clearance that we're currently meeting. We were able to identify in that as well that there are constraints upstream. The railroad bridge upstream, the BNSF only has a clearance, I think, of 79 feet. And then the Dalles bridge has a clearance of 81 feet. So anything upriver from us would be even more restricted than what our current bridge is. So we don't anticipate any impacts to our current vertical alignment or vertical clearances that we've had previous preliminary approval from the Coast Guard on.
And as you all know, that's a big issue down in IBR right now.
Yep.
Yep. Any other questions for Mike? Hearing none, let's move on to the government relations update.
Sure. Thank you, Co-Chair. Short update here. Recently, Comms and GR team been working on the record of decision rollout that was announced publicly on Wednesday last week. Ahead of that, we had our lobbying teams get the announcement out to elected officials, agencies, and other stakeholders. We got a great response coming back from folks. I'm excited to see the milestone and the progress. Comms team, I thought, did a good job getting it out on social media and the website. Thanks to Brianna and Chad and Roy for that. Announcement went up in English and Spanish on all three social media platforms and the website on Wednesday. We've gotten a few hits in the earned media world, and I know Roy is continuing to work that angle. So thanks to the comms team for a lot of great work on that front. Team is also working pretty hard on the Raise Grant Community Mobility Open House happening next Thursday, December 4th. So they're putting together with our city partners, boards, talking points, the presentation, and thinking about the public experience coming in and getting the update on the Raise Grant work that's been happening. Last week, our local presentations kicked off with the city of Bingen. Mike went over to the city of Bingen and presented short 10-minute updates, a slide deck just on what the project has been up to. And I think that happened on Tuesday, right, Mike? The same day the ROD was issued?
Yes.
Yep. So that's some good news to share there. Before the end of the year, we will have similar presentations in both Hood River and White Salmon, as well as Klickitat County and Hood River County. It's the other thing to note, I guess the comms team is participating in the aesthetics conversations with an eye toward engaging the public as the design process proceeds here. Anything I'm missing?
No, we did meet the new mayor at the city of Bingen. If you have not heard, Mayor Kiewit will be leaving at the end of the year. The new mayor was there and was at the presentation that we did on Tuesday. So,
how was the aesthetics discussion tying in with the aesthetics committee and the work that was done earlier?
That's
doing it, tie it together.
That's what we're trying to figure out exactly how we do tie that together.
You're involved in the conversation.
Yes.
Great.
yeah, and Arthur, we do have an aesthetics task force group that's meeting. Eric's been involved in some of that, but they'll be looking at and coordinating with Kiewit how best to implement the aesthetics memo and the guidelines that came out of that. So more to come on the aesthetics over the next probably 9 months.
Great.
If you have suggestions, I'm all ears.
I'll think about it. We can talk about it offline.
Yeah.
All right.
I just have a quick question regarding the Raise Grant Open House and housekeeping for the authority. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just quorum. A quorum of us might be present at that meeting. Just to disclose that publicly.
Okay.
There won't be any business there. Just an open house for the public, but just acknowledging that a quorum of us may be present.
In that case, we just have to be careful not to interact with each other, and it's optional. We're there to listen. No problem.
Yep, exactly.
Thanks.
We want to announce that for the rod announcement as well. The similar thing where there's an
Yep.
event where there's more than a quorum available.
Once there's details of the event finalized for that, we can do that same exercise. Yeah.
Fish sticks.
Okay, any other questions for government relations? Hearing none, partner updates, federal highways, ODOT, WashDOT. Do we have anybody online who'd like to give any updates?
I did already pass along to Mike, but Region 1 Manager Ryan Winsheimer passed on congratulations on getting the rod done. So I thought I'd say that out in the meeting.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move on to our consent agenda, invoice approvals.
Move to
Hey, move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
second.
There is a motion to second on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll move on to our committee reports. Engineering and Construction Committee, Eric.
Not a whole lot to report. We did not meet last week. And so nothing really to update. So we'll just kind of move along and see if we can keep it short.
Okay. Governance, Administration, and Operations, Arthur.
So I was in a parking lot trying to pay attention as Jake ran the meeting, but I'll do my best to give a quick summary. The access agreements with Mount Adams SDS has been completed and the installations have happened of the monitoring equipment. I think, Jake, correct me if I got some of this wrong. I don't have written notes with me because I didn't have a pencil. And the Tort Claims Act work that we need to be done, what we're hearing is our lobbyists are certainly going to keep on top of that, but it sounds like the smartest thing to expect is that it will be in the long session, which is not this year, but the session following that, which is the time when, presuming we're starting construction, and that's when we're going to need to have the stepped up insurance. That's when that actually matters to us. And Jake and I are both scheduled for right-of-way training. And then there's some other small discussions that probably aren't important. Did I get it, Jake?
I think you hit it, all of them right on the head.
Okay.
Could I add one to you that we need to be thinking about, in my opinion, is buying that property on the Washington side, privately owned property. We're focused on the port and that's good, but I think we got to get focused on that private property over there because we're developing and building and moving towards that direction. It would really be nice if we had that piece of property locked up so we don't have to worry about it.
So Jake and I are both scheduled to get trained in how to have discussions about right-of-way on 12/8, but we were told that before that, we're not to say anything about anything regarding right-of-way with anybody, so no comment. Did I get it right?
You hit that one right on the head too.
Mark is happy. I don't know if Mark's here, but
We hear you, Mike, and that is definitely on the list.
oh, you said too much.
We'll move on to our communications, government relations, Commissioner Edwards.
Okay, so the Bridge Authority sent a letter of congratulations to Sean McMasters, who was confirmed as a new administrator, Federal Highways Administration. We offered to host a tour, project briefing, and an invitation for the future groundbreaking ceremony to Mr. McMasters. The Bridge Authority sent a letter to In Situ. The purpose was to engage with them in advocacy for their bridge replacement efforts. Website updates. Communication team is working on a website refresh. We're looking to update our front page as well as links to our other pages throughout the website. The conceptual designs and artistic renderings of the future bridge will be added to the website when they are complete. The community mobility open house, as we mentioned before, is December 4th, 5 to 8, Hampton Inn and Suites. English and Spanish flyers are posted to social media, the website, as well as provide to the community for distribution, as Dan mentioned. The Bridge Authority will be providing large display boards showing the draft action plan. We'll be providing handouts to the public in Spanish to go along with the display boards in English. There will be a Spanish interpreter at the event, and a feedback form in English and Spanish will be provided to gather public comments. Finally, we've reached out to the mayors of Bingen, Hood River, White Salmon, as well as the director of the Port of Hood River to provide opening remarks at the beginning of the event. If you guys are available and would like to attend, we'd love to have you. We've prepared a one-page project description so that you're familiarize yourself with the project history and the whole sort of plan of the Raise Action funding. Moving on to the ROD signing, a lot of this has already sort of been mentioned, but we posted the ROD signing information to the website in English and in Spanish, as well as in the social media. Dan mentioned earned media, Gorge News, Coin, Daily Journal of Commerce are among the entities that have reported on the ROD signing. We are planning a signing event in December, tentatively scheduled for December 11th at 2:30. We'll be inviting elected stakeholders and project champions to the event, and we will send out invitations once we have the plans finalized. And then finally, I just wanted to say a few shout outs. I want to thank Sanjeev Tandil and Athena Herbs who their work on the Raise Grant. We've had multiple meetings, probably over 25 in the past month, gathering feedback from our community stakeholders. And then also want to thank Brianna, Chad, Roy, and Dan for their hard work over the past 6 weeks. We've had a lot of meetings, a lot of multiple moving parts in the communications world. So thank you guys for your hard work.
So could I ask a question?
Of course.
So concerning the ROD communications, I read the press release and I thought it was straightforward and clear and described exactly what had happened. And then I went to a party this weekend just to prove that I actually know people. So I just had to drop that. That had nothing to do with the discussion. No, I went to a party this weekend, and every single person I talked to thought that meant that we had funding. And I'm wondering if everyone else has had a similar experience. But just person after person said, "Congratulations! It's so great to hear this is finally happening."
I haven't had the same experience.
You have not.
But I haven't had a whole lot of discussion.
So you were not invited to a party.
That's correct. Okay. I do not have any friends.
Okay.
But I did, when I read the release, the contingent on funding was an awful long way down. I read the whole article, but I know a lot of people don't. So
I've had similar experiences as Commissioner Babbitts.
We can move that line up closer to the top in the future. That's how we communicate that, is that construction is scheduled for 2027 and contingent on final funding. We usually say something about our BIP Bridge Investment Program applications in as well, but it's great feedback to hear.
Yeah, I'm not telling you how to do this. I thought when I read the press release, I thought you guys had done everything that needed to be done. And then talking to people, including one guy that was a retired major construction project engineer. And people just got it wrong, and I don't know why.
It's wishful thinking. It's the optimistic interpretation.
Yeah. It's not like I want to shake people and say, no, we don't have funding, but I don't want people to think that it's a done deal yet.
Okay. There's not a whole lot we can do about that other than keep pushing for the funding, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's the action. That's the action that we have to do. But I'm worried that at some point down the road, we will have made our life confusing and more difficult when people start to hear us. When we start to talk about needing to do a push on funding, I think we're going to have this reaction of people who think that, say, wait a minute, you told us you had this already, now you're lying to us. Or, I just can imagine that this will somehow be held against us, that people misunderstood something that we did not miscommunicate.
But that's why we're here.
No, I know that's
Be held against us.
no, but I'm bringing it up, and I'm sure that there'll be people who listen to this who will help to clarify it. Also, I just want to get the clean message out there that that this is a very major step in completing the environmental processes, but contingent on funding is a critical statement, and we are working very hard on that step.
I've had it a little bit different, Arthur. For me, people are saying, "Oh, so you've got your record of decision or your decision. That means there's going to be no toll on the bridge, right?" So I think we could spend $100 million on explaining this the proper way, and people would still get it wrong.
Oh, there's another thing. So many people have also commented to me, at least like 4 or 5 people commented to me about the length of time it took to get the record of decision. And I just smile and nod because I'm not sure what to say. I'm wondering if there is
Far back do you go?
it's like, yep, it sure does seem like a long time, but we got it now. So yeah.
Okay.
I would just add that I agree with Arthur as far as trying to explain the ROD versus the funding. To me, though, our next series of articles coming up should be what's coming up on us. And one big one is the grants, the BIP grants. So to me, sometime right after the first of the year, I would encourage us to think about kind of trying to push something like that out and making sure that we're getting the support, and we are now through all of our congressional delegations and so on, but also tell the public that, hey, we need this last piece. We've done everything we can. We're pushing hard. If you want to make a phone call, that's fine. We welcome that.
And we have 2 periodic communications coming up in the next couple months. So early in December, we're due for a Q4 newsletter, so we can push that message there. And then after the new year, we plan to work on a 2025 in review, look ahead to 2026 update as well that we'll share with stakeholders and the public. So good opportunities to message that there.
What do you plan to do about the geotech? Is that going to be communicated through one of those 2 communications? Because that seems like a pretty active thing. People actually physically see something out on the river, and you can tell them what you see out there is part of this project moving forward. Some actual physical evidence of progress
Coming soon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think you were talking about January. So,
Arthur, I guess for the full group, what do you all think about some informational things around that of what they're looking at when they do the boring? Are you guys okay with things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see stuff like that. I think being as forthright with the public as we can, explaining that that this is the time as they're designing the pilings that the drilling happens so that we can be 100% sure that we know what's going to be encountered and that we've designed the pilings to function with the river bottom. We can remind people of the flaws in the current bridge with the pilings being on a hard shelf of gravel rather than being on bedrock, and talk about anything else that they'll be looking for. I don't know what else they look for, but I would love to know. And I'm sure that there's at least people, we got a lot of engineers around here or people who think they are, and would love to know what's going on.
Okay.
And there's nothing being communicated that we have to be careful about, right? Yeah.
Just more information to supply a better informed design.
Yeah. I don't know how much you follow WashDOT stuff. WashDOT does some pretty creative social media around their projects and how they communicate ideas and what they're doing that seem to resonate pretty well with the public. So maybe we can look at some of their ideas.
Great.
Check out the WashDOT Instagram feed for an entertaining time.
Don't have Instagram, so I can't tell.
You can still see the feed though. Presumably, yeah. Hopefully
Okay.
so.
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the Communications Government Relations Committee? Hearing none, let's move on to new business. Action item A, Baker Tilly Task Order number 2. Staff overview.
Sure, I can. Yeah, I can report that. We had a discussion at the Funding and Finance Committee last week to bring Baker Tilly's service as a second task order of their master agreement for providing any financial or any assessment on the internal control and procedure to comply with any grant requirements, the federal grant requirements. So as for this $200 million infra grant is getting close to the signature, and we have a BIP agreement, another federal funding on the way. We want to make sure this agency is ready to comply with all the requirements that comes with this federal grants. And also there is a payment option that was available for us to review, but the commissioners of Funding and Finance Committee encouraged and then directed the staff to get this engagement with Baker Tilly to bring their expertise to make sure that we are not committing anything that is not feasible, or any negotiation need to be done to make sure that we will have enough bandwidth and then require the policies and procedures in place. So their contract is Eric.
Yeah, just to clarify, so the intent of this is to have Baker Tilly basically go through what we've been doing to date and assess if that is sufficient, or make recommendations as we prepare for the federal grants with the more stringent requirements. Is that roughly correct?
Yeah, so it's more like a fresh set of eyes to make sure that what we are committing to the FHWA or USDOT that will do this grant administration to get reimbursement, and all those controls are in place.
So
You could look at it
Thank
as
you.
an audit, or
no, I think we've spent a lot of time kind of setting it up, and I think what this is doing is just trying to evaluate whether we've checked all the boxes we want to check, or if there's another box we ought to add to it before we sign these agreements. Is that?
yeah, it's kind of like a mini audit, right? Is what we're looking
Okay.
at it as.
Yeah, the name of the task order is a Federal Grant Compliance and the Internal Control Assessment. And on top of that, we want to make sure that there's a pre-payment option to be available, and then getting advice from them to incorporate that into the agreement so that we can get reimbursement based on the invoices.
Okay.
This is twofold in that task order.
Yeah, this purpose is to, I think this audit is to show DOE or DOT, assuming that it works out fine, that, yeah, we do have our financial tools in place. We can assure them that we're spending the money where we say we're spending the money. Number one. Number two, also use this to move forward and going after that concept of pay on invoice, that we use the Fed money instead of trying to find operational money
Right.
that we have to pull in. So it's a good thing. So this is kind of a test for ourselves, looking at ourselves. Are we in financial managerial control? And if we're not, what do we have to do to tweak it up a bit before the feds come in? And they will come in.
I would I don't know if you're ready for this, Jack. I would move that we adopt a motion to extend Baker Tilly's task order number 2 for $38,000.
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on, informational items. Mike, take it away.
A couple things. We did email out a tribal meeting tracking sheet for you all. It's an Excel file just to keep, we are tracking all the meetings that we've had with our tribal partners. Just a quick summary on that. It roughly about 20 meetings that we've had since 2022 with Yakima Nation. We're at about 56 meetings with Umatilla, 14 meetings with Nez Perce, and 14 meetings with Warm Springs. And then if you add in the additional meetings with FHWA, we've had over 137 meetings with the tribes in the last 4 years. So we'll continue to track this report out on a semi-regular basis, included on in the packet just for information, just to show progress and the effort going into that coordination. One other informational item, and we didn't put this on the voting, but if you need to take action, we can, and that is just an authorization or concurrence to have a bucket of money of roughly not to exceed of $2,000 for the record of decision event that we're going to do. We're trying to lock in the location there in Hood River of which one it will be. We'd like to also have some type of finger foods, non-alcoholic beverages there for that. It's a major milestone for the project. We're gonna have a number of folks that will be attending. I think the invite was somewhere around 70 people. So just wanted to bring that to you, see if you felt like you needed to take a vote on that, or if we can move forward with that being a not to exceed. We'll do the most economical location and place that we can, but just wanted to bring that to your attention that we were looking at doing that.
I think that's within your job description.
Okay.
Consensus?
Yes.
All right. Go forth and do good work.
The next thing on there, and then I'll let Dan close up with project messaging discussion, but commissioner terms, I believe emailed that out. We are coming to our first time period where there are the end of terms coming to date. I know the county, Hood River County, has put out some advertisements for that. I would recommend, if you're on the list, if you have not, please reach out to the county if you're interested in continuing, just to make sure that they are aware of that and that you've coordinated with them that you're interested, and find out from them if they need you to reapply or not. Arthur may have additional information on that if he does. But just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. This year is all Oregon. Next year we'll have some additional positions, so we're going to start getting into that transition cycle as we go forward here. But just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that, and that if you are interested in continuing, we also still do have an open position on the Washington side for an alternate. So I don't know if you want staff to follow up with Klickitat County, or if one of the commissioners wants to follow up with Klickitat County to see what the status of that other alternate position on the Washington side is as well. So
I will follow up with Klickitat County's clerk.
With Hood River County, so I'll remind everybody that the agreements that we have in place state that the specifics of how the positions are filled is left to the counties to use their regular procedures. In this case, our procedure requires that even if people are currently serving and want to continue their service, that we do open the position up and announce it. And that's a little bit due to some issues that the Board of Commissioners had 8 or 10 years ago. And so it's kind of a leftover, a holdover from some previous stuff. So I've requested a discussion at the commission level to determine if we want that to be the case in the future. But for now, given that we don't want to hold up these positions, we're just going to advertise as usual. And if other people want to apply, they have an ability to apply, and it'll come before the Board of Commissioners to make a decision. There's another point.
It's due on the 26th. Your applications are due on the 26th.
26 of what?
November.
I wasn't aware that we had to actually do an application. I thought we just had to inform them. Okay, the complication that comes in is that our agreements require us to notify the city of Hood River and the Port of Hood River of an open seat. So what staff is doing is they're notifying them of the seats that are coming up and that the people who are in those seats wish to be reappointed. And they're basically saying, do you have objections to this? Because it is kind of a funny, there's a funny dance that has to happen with the port and with the city. And am I missing something?
I'm a little surprised. This is the first time I'm hearing that those are due on the 26th.
I do not believe you have to do anything, Mike. You already spoke to Jennifer, and she's
Right.
clear that you want to continue your service.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to double check on this now. Jake, did they ask you to submit an application?
No, I saw that the county had said on the advertisement of the open positions
Right.
that an application would be due on the 26th.
Yeah.
So what I did is I reapplied, not knowing if that's the process.
And Sophie told me that you had done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely safe. But let's. Sophie should be back from the conference now. So let's talk to Sophie and try to get that sorted out, Mike.
Okay, so you're saying I don't need to put an application in?
I wasn't planning on doing it. They already have my application, your application from last time.
Right.
And neither of us, nothing's changed.
Right.
I was not planning on doing anything, and all they did is I got a phone call asking me to confirm that I wanted to continue.
Okay,
And I said
and I've
yes.
already talked to Jennifer on it.
Yes, I know you did.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
they told me that you had, and they told me that Jake had
Okay.
applied.
Okay.
So this is a little weird. There was some stuff going on before any of the current commissioners were commissioners that led them to change the policy from one of allowing people to re-up for at least one time or maybe multiple times to one where every position has to go through the same process. I think it's kind of a mistake because if people do apply, they're going to go through some effort for not a lot of reason.
Has someone spoken to Nathan or Commissioner Duvall?
He's not up, I don't think.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure that Sophie would, but I'll check on that.
Yeah, and then Commissioner Gibson and alternate Berger on the Washington side, their term expires January 1st. If there's anything you need to do.
That's is that January? I thought it was the end of next year.
That's January 1st
Okay.
of 20.
January 1st, that's the next day.
That is the next day.
Okay.
So
Okay. I will have that conversation with the clerk of the board as well.
And Commissioner Thomas's position is not up at the end of this year.
hers and mine are not.
Yeah, Mike said all of Oregon, but that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah, four of the six. Sorry.
Oh, it's a little more.
They're
than
all
that, right?
in Oregon.
Yeah, we did.
Half the entire.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
And we specifically had most of the re-ups this time in Oregon because of changing commissioners in Washington, in Clickitat County. Yeah.
I think that when I looked at it, the thing that was a little sobering is just we could have, I think it was seven out of 12 people or 7 out of 12 positions changing in 1 year. That was a little scary. There's a lot of institutional knowledge there.
Well, there's no term limits too, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah, so the term limits would be up to the counties, and Hood River County has no term limits. I don't know if Clickitat does.
No, none.
So one other question I had for the group is that the nominations or appointments of board chairs is supposed to take place, I believe, in January. Is there anything that you need from staff related to that? Anything you want us to do prior to that?
That's a good question. I guess, it makes sense to have some rotation, have movement, and but we haven't really had a discussion. It probably makes sense at our December meeting, or one of our December meetings, to have a discussion about what we're all looking for and what we all think about for our chairs that we would be electing for January.
And do you need staff to send out anything as far as what the bylaws says related to that, or do you guys all have that?
I think it's, you could certainly send it out, but it's pretty straightforward. It says that that every 2 years we appoint a chair and a co-chair, and they should be from opposite states, and that they each act as the primary chair for half of that period, right?
Yeah,
Is it
correct.
It's 1 year or 2 years? It's a 2-year period, right?
2-year period, 1 year alternating.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you just provide us with a citation of that, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we wouldn't need to necessarily take any action because the new authority wouldn't be seated until after the counties appoint whoever's going to serve for the next couple of years.
So there's a little history then for new. If there end up being new commissioners, there would be a little history before that election. History lesson or past knowledge, something.
Generally a quick learning curve. That has to happen.
And we'll look through the bylaws if there's any other appointments, or you may want to think about, is there any other appointments that you want to make going into next year? Treasurer, secretary, member at large, anything like that? Let us know if there's anything that we need to do related to any of those.
I think generally we'll look at who, in the first meeting of January, we'll look and see who didn't show up, and we'll appoint them.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Volunteering.
Exactly.
Don't miss the first couple days of the year.
And you may be volunteering.
Okay, thanks.
Moving on.
And Dan,
Project messaging.
that was all I had.
Project
Dan, do you have anything on the project messaging? I think we maybe covered it, but anything else?
I just think, just thinking about 2025 milestones that we met this year. The record of decision, full funding from both states, the design contract with Kiewit, and now, moving through the final design phase here, or the core design phase. I think all these things are happening at the time when the feds are considering, our application for the rest of our construction funding. So I think that timing probably couldn't be better for us. So obviously it's up to the feds whether or not we get that final funding, but we're doing everything in our power to make sure it happens. So demonstrating momentum is key to our project messaging, and I think we've done a great job of that.
Agreed there. Okay, what about the October financial report?
So I'm here. That got sent out late because I didn't realize that it didn't get included in the packet. I had it ready for the first meeting, and then I sent it, and then of course the first meeting got canceled, and so that just went out this morning. So I know that people haven't had a chance to take a look at it. So always feel free to get hold of me if there's any questions. I think the highlight from it, and I had it in the memo, is that we've got $8 million in the LGIP now. So it continues to move forward slowly but surely. So that's
very good news.
Yeah.
And that's on target, right? Or pretty close?
Yeah, we're pretty close there. At some point, we'll have PFM go through and do another evaluation on what we really need in that reserve fund. But until we have a better financing picture, And which means until we know when the VIP is coming through or whatever ends up being our the rest of the money, we don't want to spend a lot of money having PFM go through and do a bunch of work that may or may not be valid in the end. So, but we are on track with where we wanted to be back in the beginning.
The reason why I asked about that is because I imagine that the numbers that we had for the last year, the total revenue for the last year, could be informative, or it could be that it was there were enough oddities in the year that bridge closures, et cetera, that it's not particularly useful in determining future demand. Do you have a thought about that?
I think, yeah, my thought is that when you go back through the history of the bridge and the bridge closures and the weather and wildfires and all these things that seem to impact traffic across the bridge, it's very erratic. And so the thing that you can count on is that there will be something. And so I think that our history though tends to actually even out. I think it's much easier to look at a 2, 3, 4 year average rather than a 1 year, because you can have some one-offs. And definitely the closure from the when the lift section of the bridge got hit in June of 2024, that definitely had a bigger impact than most other things do. But from time to time, we've had some rather severe weather incidents that's, we don't close the bridge, but if their work is closed and the Highway 84 is closed and things like that, it impacts the bridge anyway. And so, again, I think averages over time are much more informative than any one specific year in time.
Okay, and when is the next pandemic plan?
Yeah, we'd all like to know that one. Okay. And how bad is the weather going to be this year?
Debbie, here's a question for you. Now that you've had enough months of just doing the breeze by and video tolling, what is your rate for not getting reimbursed, and is it in line with what your expectations were?
Yeah, well, yeah, this was definitely a learning experience going through the whole closing of the toll booth and then some of the things that we didn't anticipate, which I don't know how you could anticipate them. Because it's interesting. I know I'm going to diverge just a little bit here, but one of the interesting things, I talked to a lot of the other agencies that do all electronic tolling. The difference is that most tolling facilities are in urban areas, right? They're, the Seattle metro area, the Bay Area in California, things like that. And so we are out in a rural area. And so some of the issues we ran into, I think, are a little bit more because we're rural. And then also just the sheer volume of traffic and how we were going to handle that. So it's definitely been a learning curve, and therefore I think that our collection rate has been a little bit lower. Our collection rate is running but right around 70%, which is still a lot better than what the average is, because when CDM Smith and people that do these things, when they go through and look at these, they do 50%. So we're definitely better than average. I was hoping for closer to 80%. So we're lower than where I would like to be. But I think as we work through things and get our invoices more clear. The other thing that happened was that this also coincided with all those tech scams that you hear about. And so people got invoices and thought they were, especially if they were from out of the area, they didn't think they were legitimate. And so we had a lot of that. It's been a learning curve, but we're higher than the national average, but not where I would like to be at this point. So we're working on that.
Okay, thank you. Do you have an estimate of what that is costing us over that time?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Okay.
I can look at that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Were you asking about non-payments?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people get, and that's the other thing. It's always hard because people do get sent to collections, and that definitely gets their attention. They know it's not a scam anymore. Also in Oregon, we do registration holds, which also gets people's attention. So we have some tools, but what it does though is it does delay the collection, and so that's where, as more time goes by, then we get a better handle on how much we're collecting versus how much is just probably never going to get collected.
Well, I think the registration holds will make sure most of it will get collected if they're from Oregon.
Yeah, it gives us a definite tool in Oregon, and I'm not sure. I need to talk to WashDOT to see if there's a way we can piggyback off of them in Washington. But anyway, we're constantly looking for ways to improve. I think just improved customer service is going to help a lot with timing and getting people to pay timely. The other thing I'm looking at, and it kind of came about because the port is looking at, because obviously we have to move. And we're looking at moving away from the bridge. And so one of the things I'm looking at also is if there's a way to get some kiosks in, like over, there's a Chevron and a Shell and a Starbucks and all that just across the road from us. And so I'm looking to see if there's a way we can get some kiosks in there as well where people could stop and pay. So we're always looking for ways to improve and make it easier for people to pay. We're looking at revamping some of our web information so that our website is easier to navigate. I mean, we're constantly looking for ways to improve and make it easier for people to pay. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to pay their tolls.
And have you yet fixed it so that people can register their cars from the 1920s automatically?
We still, I know, I need to talk to
P
Square about that. We don't have Model T as an option under Ford.
You didn't even have your 1950 MG or whatever it is.
By the way, I went out to Wham and learned how to drive a Model T. So I have not driven a Model T, which is a real experience. If you've never done that, I recommend it. Not you, Arthur. I know you know how, but for the rest of you, if you've never driven a Model T, it's kind of fun.
I have a transponder, and you can drive my Model T across the bridge.
Yes. Yes, you can.
I was offering it to you.
Oh. Well, and they're narrow, so that's.
Oh, it's super nice. Comfortable, yeah. Except that the tires want to go all over the place because it's like driving on ice.
Yeah.
It's like driving on two motorcycles at the same time.
So Arthur wanted us to be done at 3:00, but now he's talking about driving across the bridge. So
no, and you understand why? Because if we don't keep talking for another 2 minutes, then I have to give you a cookie.
Yeah, he owes Fox a cookie.
Okay, is there any upcoming action items that need discussed? Okay, hearing none. Any other roundtable information from any of the board members?
This Thursday, there'll be a bridge closure at 12. No, I'm sorry, at midnight.
Did they confirm that?
Yes, Kevin just wanted me to share this. So this Thursday, 11:59. And then
correct you, I think.
December 12th.
December 12th.
So not this Thursday.
Thursday, December 12th. Yeah, and that's gonna be at 12:30, not 11. Not midnight.
Okay, I was going to say who would close the bridge on Thanksgiving, but thank you for clarifying that. Anything else?
It seemed fine to me. We weren't working, so I was fine with that.
That's why he texted it to you.
I'm confused because I could swear I saw Kevin was in a hot tub in Mexico this morning on Facebook. So how is he sitting here?
I have got very fast means. I am actually sitting in Hood River.
Okay.
And Doug, thank you. You're my first guy I talk to when it comes to bridge closures.
Oh, I feel so important. Thank you. Thanks for modifying that too. It'll help.
Our next meeting will be Monday, December 8th, 2025 from 2 to 4. If there's nothing else, we will adjourn this meeting so Arthur can make sure he brings cookies to the next one.
15 seconds.
Thank you.
Have a great day,
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.